Cruise ships are sold as floating paradises, endless food, open oceans, and the promise that nothing bad can happen while you're surrounded by luxury. But once a ship leaves port, it becomes its own isolated world, governed by international waters, complex laws, and limited oversight. And in that space between countries, some of the most disturbing deaths in modern travel history have occurred. Today, we're exploring 7 of the most interesting and unsettling deaths to ever happen on pleasure cruises. Stories that raise questions the ocean still hasn't answered. We begin with one of the most infamous cruise ship mysteries of all time, George Smith IV. In 2005, George was honeymooning aboard Royal Caribbean's Brilliance of the Seas when he vanished after a night of heavy drinking. Blood was found on his balcony, and days later, his body was recovered from the sea. Cruise officials ruled it an accidental drowning, but independent investigators and George's family believe he may have been assaulted or even murdered. To this day, no one has been charged, and the question remains, did George fall or was he pushed? Next is the disappearance of Rebecca Corriam, a 24-year-old crew member aboard the Disney Wonder in 2011. Rebecca was last seen on CCTV early in the morning, visibly distressed and talking on a phone. Minutes later, she vanished. No body was ever recovered. Disney labeled it a man overboard incident, but released very little information publicly. Her parents continue to fight for answers, believing something more happened on that ship. In a place built on magic and safety, Rebecca's disappearance remains one of Disney Cruise Line's darkest secrets. Our third story involves Ashley Olsen, a 20-year-old passenger aboard a Royal Caribbean cruise in 2018. Ashley fell from an upper deck into a lifeboat area below, suffering fatal head injuries. The cruise line described it as an accident, but her family later filed a lawsuit alleging poor safety barriers and inadequate protections. Her death reignited debates over cruise ship railings, alcohol use, and whether ships are designed more for aesthetics than safety. Then there's the case of Diane Brimble, an Australian woman who boarded a Royal Caribbean cruise in 2002. Shortly after departure, Diane was found dead in a cabin after being drugged and assaulted. The initial investigation was mishandled, evidence was compromised, and jurisdictional confusion delayed justice. The case shocked Australia and exposed just how complicated, and sometimes inadequate, cruise ship investigations can be when crimes happen at sea. Our fifth story isn't one person, it's hundreds. Since the year 2000, more than 300 people are known to have gone overboard from cruise ships. Many cases happen at night. Many have no witnesses. Many bodies are never recovered. Cruise lines often rule these deaths accidental, but families are left with nothing but questions. How does someone simply vanish from a ship the size of a skyscraper? And why are so few answers ever given? One of the deadliest cruise disasters in history occurred in 2012 with the Costa Concordia. The massive Italian cruise ship struck rocks after its captain deliberately sailed too close to shore to perform a salute. The ship capsized, trapping passengers inside. 32 people died. Even more disturbing, the captain abandoned the ship while passengers were still on board. He was later convicted and sentenced to prison. The tragedy revealed how quickly luxury can turn into chaos when leadership fails. And finally, we return to a haunting truth about cruise travel. When something goes wrong at sea, help is often far away. Medical emergencies, falls, assaults, and disappearances don't happen with sirens and backup. They happen quietly, behind cabin doors, on dark decks, and over endless water. For many families, closure never comes. Only unanswered questions carried by the tide. These stories aren't meant to scare. They're meant to inform. Cruise ships are marvels of engineering, but they are also isolated environments where responsibility can blur and accountability can drift. The ocean doesn't take sides, and international waters don't always offer justice. Behind the buffets, shows, and sunshine are real people whose vacations ended in tragedy. Because even in paradise, life at sea is fragile. If this video made you think twice, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more Fragile Lives, where the stories behind the headlines finally surface.